There's been issues, and there's always going to be issues. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship. But I think that in fairness to him, we should broach this issue so that a contract can be done in ample time, 90 days before. I still think, again, I support the extension of a contract to them. I just think it's a little early to do it, and I think we need to go through the negotiation process. One-on-one, not in mass. I don't think it's fair to anybody to do this in mass, in public. And we have some questions that need to be answered. So from Ms. Sashone, as far as the legality of increasing the accruals, and the propriety of moving the sick pay into an accrued, I can't think of the word, an accrued time. Can we make it more than 450? Is it 450 or, yeah, 450? And can we shift the sick time into that? I don't know if we can or can't. Okay, but I think it's in fairness to Mr. Stevenson, he needs to know that we support him, and in fairness to the process, I tend to agree we need to do it in due course. Whether it's a new council or not, I would submit that this is the council that he's worked with for the last 3 years, 2 to 3 years or whatever. You know, we have other issues where the current administrations get the right to do things versus other people. So that's in bigger issues than here. But that's my thoughts. That'll stop.
Other comments? Vice Mayor Donahue.
One of the reasons I asked tonight about the contract is that it expired in May. We put out a request for proposals in July, and here we are in October. So why, tonight we ratified a new contract. So this seems to be, I'm guessing that happens quite a bit with some of the large contracts we have. So I too am surprised that we're being asked to do this so far in advance. I'm also some of the points, and I don't want to shoot, or they're in our rules and regulations. I mean, apparently the last contract was a pretty sweet deal. I mean, everybody else is getting 10%, and we gave our city manager 15, which we agreed to that. So, I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying 20% is really a hike. Personally, I also feel like, I know that, Mr. Mayor, you laid out a very nice timeline for how to handle the evaluations. And everybody's seen them now. I would like to meet with Mr. Stevenson and lay out why I said what I said. I have some concerns about a few things. And rather than, air them here, I'd like to find out, what's his justification for this or this new policy or this thing that's been created by him. So I thank you for giving us the opportunity to postpone this because, we've already had Mr. Redder pointed out, this is premature. And it's loaded with things that somebody, and it may be you, maybe to sit down and hammer out these details. But I also, if we were going to go into contract, I have some points I would make, but I won't, because I don't think that it would be right to negotiate and not negotiate, so I'm going to hold off on those comments. But whoever is the negotiator, I would appreciate being able to give these facts to. So I don't know if we're going to decide that tonight or just postpone this to another time or push it down the road, or I don't know how far or how detailed do you want to get tonight?
Well, that's up to the council. I mean, I have thoughts. I've made some comments. Mr. Chambers.
Yeah, I too agree that this is premature. I don't know if we have to wait right to 90 days. We need to probably have a little bit more time than 90 days to get it all aired. The process of one person negotiating, I could see when that was done the first time with the contract, but example, I may agree with the sick leave policy, you may not, but the negotiator doesn't know our wishes. And we can't pass notes to the negotiator, we can't do that. We have to do that in an open forum. So I'm kind of concerned about how this process is going to go forward. But I do think tonight is certainly premature. That's it.
Mr. Tiller, any comments?
Yeah, just in the past, I know that the way they've done it, throughout my tenure here, the mayor would meet with the city manager and sort of have some talking points. If it's a new contract, it's a new contract, but if it's an existing contract, at least there's a starting point, and they go from there. At least that's how we did it with Mr. Linebaugh, with all the others in the past. So, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that take place. At least on some of these boards that I've sat on throughout the years, when there is, evaluations, you vet the evaluations first, whether it's one-on-one meetings, which I think are most effective, versus just putting it all out on the table and everybody just having a bash session, whereas each person discusses their evaluation with the city manager. And it's public information. If the evaluation is submitted, anybody can ask for public records request and get that evaluation. So there's no secret, but this keeps it more direct as to what are your concerns and what are your concerns towards the city manager. So that's how it's happened in the past. And, maybe this way, there's no reason why it shouldn't go that way this time around as well. But in the past, we've used the mayor to, let somebody designate. So there's got to be a starting point. Unfortunately, the sunshine laws, we can't all just get in a room and have a little, but he has the starting points, the existing contract, and they go from that point there. Doesn't, or any of us saying, I don't like this, or how about this suggestion or that suggestion, and then that can grow wings and you get your input at that point too. But it's got to start somewhere. So that's it.
How we did it in 2018 is, I can't speak to previous, but 2018, I don't know how I was selected, I don't remember, but I was asked to, and it went fine. I mean, Charles and I met, I don't know, half a dozen times maybe at the most. As negotiations always go, at the time he asked for things that I said, well, I don't speak for council, but I can't support that. And then he would say, well, okay, well, what about this? And it was a good back and forth. I thought we were pretty, and then when I presented that to the council for consideration, any points of difference, of course, Mr. Stevenson's sitting right here too, so and he gets to speak also, any points of difference that we had, we pointed out to the whole council. You guys were here, you remember, we pointed out to the whole council, it was like, okay, we were a little off on this. So I think that the residential requirement, the residential living in Temple Terrace, that was one issue. The car back then was an issue. We had some back and forth. And it was just laid out here. It wasn't ugly or anything. It was just laid out. And then the council said, well, this is what we want to do. So that's how we did it. I don't know how we could do it. I certainly don't mind not being the guy to do it, but I don't know how being a sunshine board, I don't know how you could do it. I know that the school district and everybody has the county administrator, they all have the same kind of situation, so.
Yeah. I actually brought it up at the Florida League of Cities meeting last week. We were talking about, sunshine laws, and everyone had the same concern. When they're talking about the contract for their charter employees, they have to talk about it out in the open. If someone has not lived up to their contract and it wasn't obvious to the public, well, now it's obvious, so, and they all agreed that it was a problem, but, my question, and I would like to get a ruling on this at some point, there are points that each of us have done our homework, and we have things that we would like the negotiator to know. Do we have to wait then until the negotiation has gone through to share? We can't share that information with each other, right? How do we?
You can give the information to me or to the clerk, and it can be given to the negotiator without your name on it.
Okay.
There cannot be any back and forths about it amongst you or between you, but you can provide the information altogether to one. The one negotiator may negotiate with contract, but cannot make any promises, cannot make any decisions about any of the terms. You can discuss it, but it must come then back to the whole council to make any decision. So it's okay for one person to be chosen as the negotiator, but they cannot be given the authority to approve anything.
That makes sense.
I wouldn't want that if we could.
And also remember, there's only going to be one new person on this council. So you're talking about, it takes 3 votes to do anything. You're going to have 5 people who can vote. You're going to have 1 new person. So we're not talking about a drastic change here in leadership. So
Here's what I need from the council tonight, and Mr. Stevenson needs this too. I need some clear direction as to how to go forward, because he deserves it, and I need it. I will say one thing, that I believe in the interest of fairness, that this is fair. I don't think it's likely that this council's not going to renew. I don't know. We won't know till the night of that vote, but however, his contract does expire on February the 26th. If we don't renew, and suppose we don't vote on this till, I don't know, January 5th or 4th or whatever the first, I don't know. That doesn't give Mr. Stevenson much time that the city's not going to renew. And I agree with him that I don't think that's quite fair. I mean, that if we get into the holidays, I don't know if we're going to do this before, I don't know, because I'm waiting for you to tell me. But whoever makes a motion here to tell me what you want us to do, what we're going to vote on, if it's going to be prolonged, I would ask or request you to consider in your motion to tell me whatever you want to move to do. I would ask that you consider extending the date of his current contract back. Because if we extended it to March or April or something, that takes that pressure than that. But if we didn't renew, let's just say in the beginning of January, that doesn't give him enough time to make life plans. And so I would ask you to consider that. And I don't know that we need to wait till February or January. I'm just saying that depending on what you tell me to do, keep that in the back of your mind. Because if you're not going to renew, I don't think it's fair to tell somebody 6 weeks ahead of time that you're not going to renew. Mr. Stevenson, we've been talking a lot about you.
You have, and I appreciate all the dialogue, and just to clarify just a couple things. And
Okay.
I thank you for bringing that up. If you're looking to extend my contract, my current contract 6 months, I am not interested, flat out. I need a new contract. I need to know that I have a contract moving forward very quickly here, so that I don't get into the holidays, and I don't get into January where the contract is expiring in a month or 2 months.
Well, that's what I was trying to relieve you of.
I do not think that is a fair situation to put me in. I've got to give you 90 days' notice. I think I deserve a little bit more than 90 days that you're not going to renew. So really,
Well,
that is.
not to be
that's the biggest
disrespectful,
thing.
Mr. Stevenson, but you signed the contract, doesn't expire till February 26th. So we're not being unfair to you to
Well-
hold you to the end of that contract.
Well, is it fair for me to just kind of give you a 90-day notice?
That's what the contract says.
Well, I guess if that's where we're headed, I guess that's where we're headed.
Well, I don't
I
think
just-
that's where we're headed unless that's where you
Well,
want to head.
let me clarify a couple things here. I met with each of you individually 2 weeks ago. I gave each of you a contract, the same contract that's on the agenda tonight, for your review. I've heard nothing back from any of you on any issues with that contract whatsoever. Your city attorney has reviewed this contract for legalities. I've asked her to do that. She never once gave me anything in there that was illegal. The reason for putting a no cap on vacation, right now, as of today, I am maxed out, right? And I took last week off, and I am maxed out. The first year that I took over this position, I gave this city about 40 hours worth of vacation time because I did not use it, okay? So, that being said,
Order, please, in the gallery. Please keep silent.
I've given a lot up, and I just don't want to continue to give and give and give. I don't think that it is feasible for me to be taking 4 weeks of vacation during the year. I accrue more vacation than I can use up. But if this council wants me to start using vacation, you're going to start seeing a lot less of me. I don't want that to happen, okay? I love what I do, and I love being here, and I don't like being away. So I'm surprised that I hadn't heard back from any of you in the last 2 weeks. It certainly is not the way that I thought this would go tonight, but I do appreciate the dialogue. We've been talking about a month on how to initiate this, and I do appreciate whatever you want to agree to get this thing rolling in the right direction. I am open to do that and open to negotiations, so.
All right, council, I need somebody to,
I move we
Try to
enter
put this
into
in the jar.
negotiations.
I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
move that we enter into negotiations with Mr. Stevenson, you being the point person with that, Mr. Ross, and bring it back to council, if at all possible, before Thanksgiving.
What date is that?
I'm
Is
sorry?
that the second meeting
Be the second meeting, yeah.
of November?
Second meeting in November.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
You do have a second?
I'll second for discussion.
We have a
even though
motion?
I can't support that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Chambers, you're recognized.
Yeah, I agree with the first part. The date I would go is our Monday meeting, the 2nd. And it is with the current council. It's the night before the election, but November 2nd.
Oh, I have no problem with that.
That gives you 3 weeks. And gives more time. We get, the second meeting in November, we're going to be dealing with, I guess what's our
No.
swearing in would be the first meeting in December?
December,
Right.
Would be first meeting in December. So we could come back.
I'm ambivalent to either the first or second in November. It doesn't matter. I think, 3 to 3, I just was trying to give 3 to 4 weeks to let everybody meet and discuss the particulars of the contract that are in question. That's all.
So do you wish to amend your motion?
I'll amend the motion to the first meeting.
Go ahead
yeah.
and amend your motion then, if you would, please. Remember what to amend it to?
Amend it to November, was it second?
So that's the Monday night before the
Correct.
election?
That's our
Correct.
Monday night meeting.
Monday, Tuesday, doesn't matter.
What's today, the 6th?
Yeah,
It's 3
November
weeks.
2nd is the
Yeah.
Monday.
Right,
It's a
it's
Monday
Monday the
night
2nd, be 3
before
weeks.
the election.
3 weeks,
4 weeks, 4 weeks,
4 weeks?
roughly.
Mr.
Is it-
Stevenson, you
is it
have
4
a
weeks?
voice, and I know
I don't
you're,
have a
this
phone.
isn't normally time for you to speak, but
4 weeks, 4 weeks negotiation period.
the
Roughly.
motion on the floor is for you and I to negotiate and bring something, a proposal back to the council on November the 2nd. Is that and that's seconded too?
Yes, that's seconded also.
That's the motion, is that correct?
Yes, that's the motion, yes.
Now, I know it's a little unorthodox, but what are your feelings on that motion before we,
We can get it done. I mean, that's fine. I have no doubt that we can get it done.
we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion?
So we have one meeting in between, and then we have a meeting,
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
One more meeting in October, and then by then you will have
Correct.
sat down and gone over everything.
Correct.
I just want to say, the reason I did not approach city manager is I didn't think I could. It was a contract that was being, so maybe I'm deviating from here, but he raised the question that nobody came and talked to him. So I have a lot to say to him about this contract, so, and I'll be happy to do that. But if you're my negotiator, I will forego that.
Okay, well, each council member is welcome, was encouraged to meet with Mr. Stevenson to discuss their and the other two employees too, to discuss their evaluation. It's inappropriate for you to discuss mine or,
Yeah.
you know, but to discuss your evaluation with that employee, you and the employees were both encouraged to have those meetings if you so desired. But that's up to you to set it up, or them to reach out to you, or, you know, however. So the motion, let's not get too far from the motion. The motion is to enter negotiations, bring something back to the council on November 2nd. Is there further discussion on the motion? Mr. Chilora?
My only suggestion, Mr. Mayor, would be that if you reach, I mean, you did a fine job last time doing it, but if you reach a sticking point, maybe at that next meeting, between now and then, maybe bring it to the council to see where it's at, instead of, you know, coming to approve or disapprove this thing and then having a big, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the only suggestion I may have to keep it moving along.
It's a good suggestion, thank you. Other discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? No nays. Mr. Stevenson, you and I will get together here. And,
Thank you, Ken.
and it is my intent, just like in 2018, if we reach an impasse on a certain item, I'm not going to assume I have authority. I mean, I'm not going to do that. You're going to get, you know, we'll hash it out at the meeting about what we can't agree on, so you'll know.
Mr. Mayor, I do have, Mr. Mayor, a comment I'd like to make.
Mr. Chilora?
Something in the past years that I found very productive and effective during my tenure, not just here on other boards, is that sometimes during meetings, not just this meeting and other boards that all of us serve on, there's grandstanding and bashing sessions. I found it most effective in the past when an evaluation is done, that there be one-on-one meeting with the administrator or city manager, whoever, whatever the title may be, and the individual council person. Because when you get up here and there's 5 evaluations and everybody's bouncing all over the board, is my evaluation towards the city manager. And not what yours is or yours is, but what mine is, and that should be his problem and my problem to fix and improve. I think sometimes it just gets too emotional, and I'm referring back in the day when I used to sit on a Heartline, was very bad, rough days, and the executive director at that point would actually meet one-on-one and extinguish any, what are your concerns? You know, okay, what can I do better? How do we communicate better? And I found that to be very, very productive, instead of getting up here and then it becomes, you know, a public lashing one way or the other. I'm not saying that's what we do here. I've just found that much more advantageous and productive based on what I've experienced in the past. So if any of you have an issue or need to speak with the manager, whatever your concerns are, and then if it doesn't get resolved, obviously your option is to bring it to the council and say, hey, here's where I'm at. This is why I'm not in favor or support of it. So, but give it an opportunity to work itself out. And if it doesn't, obviously the next option is have your public discussion or whatever you want to do. But that's really worked well, and it's kept everything moving along, at least.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chilora. Very well. Next item is council business. Is there any carryover business from previous council meetings?
Not from the previous.
From previous
I have
council
new
meetings.
business.
Okay, next item is new business and board reports.
Okay, falls
Mayor
under
Donovan.
board reports. Each of you has a packet. It's from the Florida League of Cities. It's about the policy development process. You don't have to get it out and read it tonight. It's long. I will be representing you on this committee. Now, I've been doing it for a couple of years, and this year, Mr. Ross said, Mayor Ross said, how about telling us what y'all are talking about, which makes absolute sense, and so I gave you all of the issues that are known to be coming to us in the legislature. So short-term rentals, By the way, they never call it vacation rentals. They always call it what it is, short-term rentals. Other policies, fireworks, I mean, there's about 7 issues here. We will whittle it down to our top policy that we're going to focus on. So some of these, when you get a chance, you will see that they are, I mean, there's a lot of backup material, like especially the short-term rental one. There's a lot of backup material. And so we'll go over that. I know Mr. Schischler was on a committee before. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. We want to focus on. That doesn't mean that the Florida League of Cities isn't going to have an opinion on all of the others. It's just that when we set our policies, that is one, no, then let me know. Okay, otherwise, you know, I'll be listening to all the conversation. We have a meeting on October 23rd, and then we have a 2-day meeting in November. So anyway, just thank you for asking me to bring this to them. That was important.
And thank you, Mrs. Donahue. And for those of you, I've asked you to give us some visibility. I've been trying to do that, and we've done, I think, trying to do a better job of, we need to tell each other what we're doing on our various boards and stuff, because, you know, we don't think about it. And at the center of all this, I really think, you know, we sit up here and we talk about communication. We're talking about other people, but we have to, 5 of us have to remember that Mr. Stevenson needs to know what we're doing too, because he talks to our lobbyists, he talks to, and if he doesn't know what we're up to, we're liable to be working at cross purposes. So we got to remember that whole communication thing's cuts both ways there. So thank you. Other new business or board reports, Mr. Chambers.
Some of city manager's thunder or somebody, but, you know, we were all given the new playbook for Parks and Leisure Services. Thank you, everybody. I want everybody to look at the back cover when you get yours. It's a tribute to Kim Straub. I want whoever's idea it was, city manager, Lori, Carl, anybody, what a great idea. Thank you very much. This is a nice, very nice tribute. Thank you. And it's going to make me cry like a cherry. But anyway, thank you very much for this tribute. It was well done.
Thank you for bringing that up. I didn't know that. I didn't look at it yet. Thank you.
And you did steal my thunder.
Good. One down off your list.
I got a feeling you'll think of some more thunder.
That's one other thing I got to mention.
Other new business or board reports? Okay, Mr. Stevenson, city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things here. Just, I had contacted each of you to try to set some time on October 20th to conduct a workshop to discuss some health insurance options. We've been in serious conversation and discussion with not only United, but the Advent Health people. And I think we've got some viable options that we want to share with council. One is a self-insured situation, partially self-insured situation, that has the potential to save us a bunch of money. And there's some caveats beyond it. And I need to make sure that council is comfortable with us moving in that direction from the traditional United Healthcare that we've been doing. So if everybody's in agreement, I'd like to do that at 4:30. That ought to give us about an hour to talk to this new company. They're willing to come in and make a presentation to council so that you guys understand their program, as well as bring you up to speed with the conversations that we've been having with United Healthcare, because it's time to start talking about renewal of that contract as well. So if everybody's in agreement with that, we'll set that up for 4:30. What I'd like to be able to do is do it in this room so that we have the ability to do PowerPoint, and certainly the public can weigh in and kind of follow what's going on as well. So if everybody's okay with that date?
We have a thumbs up on that?
Good.
Okay, we have a date.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Donahue.
You have
Vice Mayor Donahue.
You have we're trading back our titles. You have an employee committee, right? Have they vetted these new programs? Or?
The employee committee will know about this before the 20th meeting. Okay.
Okay, so.
We have incorporated human resources, obviously. But I don't know that I want to vet this with the employment committee until council understands that this is a good direction to go. All right? This new direction is a new way of approaching healthcare with our employees. It has the potential not only save them money, but to save the city a bunch of money. So I don't want to go to the employee committee until I know the council's okay with us going in this direction. So,
Are you going to be looking for a decision from us on that day?
no, I kind
or-
of just want you guys to make sure that you guys are comfortable with this program, because there is a little bit of liability involved, potentially, okay? Potentially.
Will it come back to us for a decision, or is this an administrative decision?
This is
that-
an administrative decision that we will have to make, but this doesn't affect the retirees. The retirees will be involved with this whole thing as well. So,
Mr. Chambers,
Yeah, question, the Employee Insurance Committee, I know they'll get it slightly before us, or maybe not. Can they be at this workshop also? Members of that committee?
sure, we can invite them to come.
Thank you.
Good idea. And I'm invited to, we talked about this morning in the staff meeting as well. The directors have been invited to come, so they can hear this and they can pass this on. So I think it's a great idea, but we'll see. We've kind of worked some numbers, and I've had some help working those numbers. So we'll see what happens with it. A couple other things, if I can. We're trying to, I know we're not having Winter Wonderland, which is typically when we start talking about Veterans Day activities and everything else, and I'm sorry, not Winter Wonderland, but the
I was going
art
to say, when
festival.
did that happen?
The art festival, getting my days mixed up here, but saying that we've kind of canceled those activities or gone virtually with those. We're trying to, the city, and Ms. Hayes is helping me with this, is trying to find a way to recognize our veterans in town. We are trying to put a request out there from everyone and everybody on TV now. If you know veterans that have served in our armed forces in the past, we would love to know their name and their address so that we can kind of recognize them. We're trying to put something together and is on the cusp of solidifying what we're going to do, but it will involve all the veterans that we have here in town, and we certainly are open for any information that we can get on any veterans that we have here in town. We've gotten a bunch of responses so far, just from email requests, but certainly if this council or anyone of the listening public knows of veterans, make sure they're on our list, please. The last thing, I'd like for Chief to come up. Chief Albano, tonight obviously is traditionally the night that we celebrate National Night Out, which is certainly a national program. Seeing that it has been canceled, I'd like for Chief to, that's not a microphone. I'm gonna have to take that off of there. Everybody thinks that's a microphone. Just to kind of brief us on the whole idea of National Night Out, and certainly
Welcome, Chief.
recognize that we support our police department.
Thank you, Wilson. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I know for a fact, I don't need to tell you guys about National Night Out, but it is a nice opportunity to be able to share with the community that may be watching who's not familiar. National Night Out actually started nationally in 1984 and was well established here in Temple Terrace before I even came to the city back in 2006. But certainly since I've been here, it's been our premier event and outreach to our citizens to be able to show outwardly to them and to those that are unfamiliar with Temple Terrace, the true partnership that we have here in Temple Terrace. It is in some cases throughout the country maybe the only event that a police department has to reach out to their citizens, but we have many. But this certainly, tonight, not being able to bring the kids out and the families out and to have the pizza and all the interaction and the crafts and the things that we are able to do. It's disappointing to some of the people that look forward to it, disappointing to a couple of our crime watches that are still active, and to the men and women here at the police department that look forward to that, Patrick planning that. I can tell you, I greatly appreciate the wearing of the National Night Out T-shirts, and I would encourage you to wear them, not just tonight, but when you're out in the community. I wear mine, even outside of Temple Terrace, and people ask me about, well, what's National Night Out? Where it's a chance to bring the community visibly into partnership with this police department by coming out together, sharing a meal, sharing some camaraderie, going back to the house, turn your lights on. The lights light up your communities. That's a big help. Just that one simple act is a big help to your police department. Lights discourage crime. So tonight, we couldn't bring the community out to celebrate together with us, but tonight, we have shared, Lori Hayes helped us, we have shared with the community, turn your lights on. And our officers are going to be driving around looking to find the communities, the crime watch areas, our citizenry who have their porch lights on. And if they do, well, we're going to let them know that we're there, and we appreciate it by turning our lights on and driving through the community. So if anybody calls you, we're not being invaded, we have no big major thing, knock on wood, but your police officers tonight will be out doing everything they can to say thank you to our citizens. Our citizens and the partnership that we have, and with the support of this council, has always been the mainstay in our abilities to provide the exemplary service that we try to do each and every day. And we thank them, and we thank all of you for your support.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Most of us have.
One last thing, great job with the playbook. Our playbook has come a long way since being paper pages. It is 8.5 by 10 glossies. Lori does a great job of doing this. And again, quite a tribute to Ms. Kim Straub. That was, again, her idea, and I know that she was fairly close with Kim, and I know that means a lot to her, so thank you. I don't have anything else, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Candidate forum? Candidate forum
Yeah, and I have a question.
Oh, I didn't. yeah, I
about
didn't
the,
mention
No, unrelated.
okay.
Go
Mr.
ahead, no, do the candidate.
Okay.
that. Yeah, it just, and I'm sorry that it's on the list, and I even forgot it. I didn't even read it. But candidate forum next Tuesday, 6 PM. Our 3 candidates are here in the audience. We have set all this up. We're doing a trial run on Monday to make sure that all the electronics work. It is closed to the public. Each candidate has been given the ability to bring 2 guests in so that they have their campaign manager or their financial person, whoever they want to bring in. But I think we're set to go, and it ought to be a good forum.
Okay, since all 3 candidates are here, I just want to mention that we won't be here, but it's not because we're not interested in this. We'll be watching, but we don't want any appearance that we're meeting out of the public eye with you guys, like there's some kind of secret, we can get in and meet with you and the public can't. So we're not going to be here, but it's not because, we'll be watching. Right?
We'll give you a secret handshake after you get elected.
The other thing that this is a shameless plug that the police chief won't do, so I will. All 3 of you, whatever happens with the election, you're going to be closing down your campaign accounts at some point, 90 days after the election, within 90 days. The Temple Terrace Boys and Girls Club happens to be a 501c, right?
That's right.
So if you're looking for something to do with your, that's a great place to keep the money in town. That's a shameless plug. Mr. Stevenson, any other?
I will continue to mention about the candidate forum. It will be broadcast live on our TV channels, both on Spectrum and Frontier, as well as live on YouTube, and then obviously archived on YouTube for a later date. Somebody
Good.
can't make that meeting, they can access it at a later date.
Vice Mayor Donahue, you had a question?
Yeah, it was brought to my attention today that there's a discount on water rates for citizens over 65. How does a citizen apply for that?
To customer service.
Okay, so I thought, well, gee, I need to bring this, I was not aware of it. I didn't know. and-
We have several
So-
discounts, discounts for senior citizens at the rec center and for sanitation rates.
Yeah. So they just have to call.
They just have
and-
to go through customer service. Customer service will
Okay,
put their account in that mode.
all right, thank you.
Good. City Attorney's report?
I have only one thing, but I did want to mention that the very first thing I ever participated in with Temple Terrace was National Night Out.
I think it was your
It was
first
right
night.
before I got hired, but I was here that night to observe, and the city manager said, suddenly this council ended really early, and the city manager said to me, "Come on, we're going to go eat pizza." And I said, "What?" So I got in his pickup truck and he drove me over to the rec center, and there was everybody and the police, and everybody was having a great time and eating pizza, and all I could think of is, and I didn't know really much about Temple Terrace at all then, and I thought, wow, what a great place. So that was my first impression of Temple Terrace. The one thing I wanted to mention is that the declaration of state of emergency ordinance is tentatively done. I sent it out to all of you, and hoping to expecting that it's going to be on the next agenda. But in the meantime, if you've got any comments or questions, please get them to me as soon as you can so that we can make alterations to that ordinance if necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Other business to come before the council? Okay, just a real quick comment to the public here is that, folks, we've got a very good council up here. We really do. This is, and I know at times I hear in the community, oh, you guys, you speak with one voice and you shouldn't have back and forth and there shouldn't be, but that's what makes a council a good council, right? You don't want 5 cookie cutter people. So we're supposed to have the back and forth, right? And unfortunately, if you work at Amazon or Bank of America, we don't have to talk, you would never hear us talk about our employees. You wouldn't talk about the CEO in public in a public shareholder meeting, but we don't have a choice, right? This is government in the sunshine. So we can't huddle up in the back room to discuss the stuff that's awkward to discuss in public. So I really want the public to understand we have a good council, and there is a heck of a lot of good stuff going on in Temple Terrace. We've got buildings going up in the redevelopment area. We've got Amazon going up out on Harney Road. We've got other smaller businesses coming in that people don't even notice. We've got restaurants opening up. We've got a lot of really good stuff going on in Temple Terrace. We got the most beautiful rec center anywhere. We just broke ground on an irrigation project at the golf course, which I know if you're not a golfer, it's hard to get excited about that, but that's a huge deal. That's over $1 million. That would have never happened, right? So we've got so much good going on that I don't want people, when they see the council meetings, like, oh, all those guys do is banter back and forth and disagree. Well, that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're not enemies. This is a great council. Everybody's passionate about the city. This is the way it's supposed to be. So if you live in Temple Terrace, you should be very proud of everything that's going on here. We've got a lot of great stuff. And so I just want to remind everybody of that. So we always talk about bad stuff. We got good stuff, right? So we are amazing. With that, we are adjourned.